What Maya is basically the idea that everything around you is an illusion, right? Everything you see, everything you feel, everything you touch, literally all of reality, it's like some magical illusion. It's not real. It's hiding the reality of reality. My head is not real. These rings are not real. My skin is not real. The touch that I'm feeling when I put my hand through my beard is not real. My t-shirt's not real. There's wallpaper, which is not green screen. This is not real. Nothing in the reality of what you see, observe, feel, or come into contact with is actually real. It's all a big lie, which is hiding the reality of reality from you. And your job as a spiritual person is to firstly understand it, then overcome it. It's how you achieve moksha. It's how you achieve liberation, enlightenment, different terms for like those three different Sanatana Dharmic faiths. In Jainism as well, you are supposed to like overcome the illusion of moksha to understand reality, right? It's another Sanatana Dharmic religion. So Maya is so massive and big that I'm going to have to split it in so many different chapters, right? Because there are so many scientific points and principles which literally prove everything you come into contact with, everything you see, everything you feel, touch, everything you think to be real is a lie. It's a genuine illusion, and I am not crazy, and I'm going to prove it to you right now. So some smart chappy over here, right, called Albert Einstein, he came up with like general relativity, this formula E equals mc squared. People love Albert Einstein. Really, really smart guy. Not saying he's not, but really, really smart guy. He's so smart, actually, that he actually said that reality is an illusion, right? Reality is an illusion, albeit a persistent one. So Albert Einstein is saying reality is Maya, but what did he mean by that? Well, when you look at his theory of general relativity, he himself demonstrated that his theory only was consistent to a certain point, and then all mathematics that he made were flawed. It just didn't work or exist in reality, right? So the idea that we have a physical structure to us, right? Physical, has solid form. My rings, my Vajanti seed, mala, my beard, my face, the chair, the microphone stand, like everything that we think is physical is not physical. So Albert Einstein's own theory says that at the unit of 10 to the power of minus 33 of a centimeter, physical structure of reality breaks down and is non-existent. How do I explain that? 10 to the power of minus 33 of a centimeter. That is a millionth of a billionth of a billionth of a billionth of a centimeter. Yeah, try picture that, right? But I can actually help you picture that. So I'm a human, apparently. So nah, I am a human, right? I'm not an alien that I know of. Starsea Children stand up. But I am what we call a human, okay? And I am made of like cells that are made of like molecules that are made of like atoms. And then when you get down into an atom, you get like quarks, gluons, leptons, and there's 3 different types of generation of quarks, and 2 are really unstable and 1 generation of quarks is stable. So it makes researchers think there's another subatomic particle called a prion, but it doesn't matter, right? So to put into perspective, and I'm gonna talk about string theory here in case you haven't cottoned on, combine those words like gruel in Mean Girls. But anyway, I'm talking about string theory here if you haven't cottoned on. So you get an atom, okay, and this is the best way I can describe what a string is before I even tell you what a string is, right? So to get to 10 to the power of minus 33, and we actually know what that means, a millionth of a billionth of a billionth of a billionth of a centimeter, you get an atom, and then you take the nucleus of an atom, and you size it up to a grain of sand, and then you drop it at the halfway line of Wembley Stadium. Right, so for my international viewers, Wembley Stadium is like the largest arena football stadium we have in London, England. Google it. So you get a nucleus, which is now the size of a grain of sand, and you drop it on the halfway line of Wembley Stadium. An atom is like 99.9999996% empty space, right? Depending on who you ask, there's different levels of nines. But anyway, to put that into perspective, that nucleus, which is now the size of a grain of sand, the distance between the next quote unquote physical material is an electron, which is now outside the stadium. Like genuinely, right? The nucleus of an atom is on the halfway line and the electron is flying in the electron cloud outside the stadium. So that is a vast amount of empty space in between the nucleus and the electron, which is why, like, you know, 99.99996% empty space, because it's pretty much predominantly not made of physical material. And for those of you who are like, oh, but it's not empty space, there's a quantum field and there's energy passing through it. Look, sit down, right? Firstly, okay, it is a quantum field, what that empty space is, but that's the same thing. And the energy passing through the quantum field, aka the empty space, is not part of the molecular composition of what makes an atom. It is just passing through the empty space, which we also call the quantum field. It's the exact same thing. So sit down. Stop interrupting me when I'm teaching. So I used to be a teacher. Yeah. So anyway, 99.99996% empty space. Grain of sand is in the halfway line of Wembley Stadium. The electron cloud is around it. Okay, now you have a frame of reference for how small an atom is. Yeah. Quarks are inside the nucleus, they're inside the electron. Even these subatomic particles are basically empty with smaller particles inside them. This is what string theory says. So we need to size this up even more, okay? So we now have a atom, which we then size up to the size of the observable universe, which is around approximately like 93 billion light years in diameter. 93, 86, 90. Kind of depends on who you ask. Our mathematics related to cosmology is changing because of the James Space Webb Telescope. Things that we thought were known, for example, the speed of which the universe is expanding, how old the universe is, all of these things are just nonsense now, right? James Webb Space Telescope is just like made us rethink everything, right? So, give or take, 93, just say 86 billion light years in diameter, because I like the number 86. So now an atom is the size of 86 billion light years in diameter. The size of a string is now the size of a tree. Like, look out your window, like a tree on Earth. An atom is the size of the entire known universe, 86 billion light years in diameter. And a string is the size of a tree. So a string is infinitesimally small. Like, you cannot picture a millionth of a billionth of a billionth of a billionth of a centimeter. It's just so mind-blowing small. But when you get to that number, which, quantum physicists think is actually where the thing that creates, the foundation of everything, because apparently everything's made out of atoms, right? Well, actually, everything's made out of strings. So a string is a 2D, okay, not 3D, 2D. It is not physical in form. It's basically, like, the best way to describe it is imagine like a tornado of electromagnetic energy, right? That's it. So it is a non-physical, two-dimensional, vibrating, oscillating, right? Just vortex of electromagnetic energy, which is just spinning inside every atom. And atoms make up everything. And we have billions and trillions of atoms inside our body, and this microphone, and just like literally everything. Like, you just can't picture what that even means. But what that means is literally nothing has a physical form. The idea that something is a physical form is an illusion. Okay, that's Maya, literally. Albert Einstein also said that matter should not be matter. Matter should be thought of as energy whose vibration has been lowered enough to be perceived and felt by the senses. It's dense, okay? So physical matter is not real, right? The idea of physicality is Maya. The idea that matter is anything but energy is also Maya. And we don't see electromagnetic energy around us, right? But it's true. This is just little two-dimensional vortexes, just tornadoes of spinning electromagnetic energy, just giving out electromagnetic radiation, building the illusion of atoms, cells, molecules, skin, hair. None of this is real. None of it. And that is Maya. So imagine, like, I'm a human being, apparently, right? I'm actually an electromagnetic energy, an electromagnetic energetic entity. That makes more sense. Yeah. Like I said, I'm making this up as I'm going. There is no script to this. I'm just standing, flowing, right? So humans are electromagnetic, energetic entities. This is what we are. We are not a human being with physical nature. We are an electromagnetic, energetic entity with torus fields coming out of us, right? So imagine that on my head, I got woo, 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 and all around me, woo, woo, woo. So imagine, let me illustrate how little we know about reality. So here we go. My mala, yeah, Vajanti seed, shout out Krishna. So my mala, but I'm not a Hare Krishna, yeah, but I love Krishna. But my mala, nothing wrong with Hare Krishnas, but like, I go off topic a lot, you know what I mean? I just talk. So anyway, my mala, which is from Vajanti seed, and the reason why I say shout out Krishna and all that kind of stuff is because this is basically supposed to come from the area where Krishna was like living and things. Yeah, makes sense now. So my mala is not physically touching me. Yeah, even though it's on my neck, it's on my body, it's not physically touching me. So how does that make sense, right? So essentially, I have subatomic particles vibrating everywhere, creating this electromagnetic field. And this electromagnetic field is a magnet, right? So imagine like two magnets, they can repulse each other. It means they go away from each other. So essentially, even though this is not a human, it's still made of, you know, atoms, subatomic electron particles, like subatomic particles. It's a vibrating thing. It's got its own electromagnetic field, is what I'm trying to say. It's got its own torus field. And essentially, my electromagnetic field and the electromagnetic field of this mala are interacting and they're repulsing. So I'm not literally touching it and it is not literally touching me, but the two electromagnetic force fields are creating like a little in between it, right? A little, and it's like a force field that brings it together to make it look like it's touching me, but it's actually not touching me. The same thing when you sit on a chair. You are not sitting on a chair, you are levitating, right? Because you're not actually touching that chair. Your electromagnetic field is interacting with the electromagnetic field of the chair. And this is actually like real science, right? There's something called the Pauli exclusion principle, which is basically like two electrons cannot take up the same space. So like two electrons can't touch, basically. Like imagine the Pauli exclusion principle as like a multi-story parking, like car park, right? And each car park bay is only allowed for one car, aka one electron, and they can't touch each other. They all have to park in their own individual spaces. So none of the cars are touching each other, are they? They're all parked in their own individual spaces. That's what's happening here. The Pauli exclusion like principle. These electrons from my electromagnetic field and the electrons from my mala, or if you sit on a chair, for example, they cannot touch each other. That is a law of reality, okay? It just is what it is. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how. I didn't come up with it. I didn't do the maths. I just know what the thing is, right? So I think so anyway. I think I'm pronouncing it properly. I have no idea. Like I said, I'm flowing. So anyway, the reality of you sitting on a chair is you are not touching that chair. It is an illusion that you think you are sitting on the chair. You are technically, literally levitating on that chair. And that is Maya. Yeah, just straight up. Humans are energetic entities. We are not what we think we are. Maya. I am not physically touching this mala while I am rubbing my hand down it. This sensation of feel and sensation of touch that I get while I'm touching it. You think you're sitting on a chair and you feel the texture of the chair underneath you? That's Maya. It's not real. It's an illusion. Yeah, it just does not exist. Right, let's get deeper. Okay, where should I go with this next? Maya. Okay, so I'm not trying to bore you with science. So quantum flux and superposition, these are terms which we know to be true based on like double split experiment, photon wave. I'm gonna sound like Terrence Howard here, but photon wave duality. Yeah. So I'm gonna talk about that, okay? So again, skip through it. Superposition is the reality in quantum physics that a particle is not in the specific form that when you look at it, right? So imagine I close my eyes, there's a particle in front of me, right? It looks different to when I open my eyes. It physically changes to be the thing that I look at it to be. My act of observation creates the change. Yeah. So a particle is like, imagine all right, think of an analogy. Imagine a sculpture made of liquid metal, like Terminator 2, right? There you go. Imagine a sculpture made of liquid metal, which is moving constantly. Like, it's just a sea of waves, okay? When your eyes are closed. And as soon as you observe the sculpture, boom, it becomes something. It's a cat, it's a dog, it's a horse, right? But it literally was not that thing before you looked at it. Literally, okay? It was a sea of infinite possibilities. And then it collapses, which is a scientific term. It collapses and then it crystallizes, another scientific term. It collapses and crystallizes to be the thing that you look at. Yeah. So just in basic principle, anything that you look at, right? Or when you close your eyes, oh my gosh, when you close your eyes, right? And I realize this is not happening because this camera phone is here and then you're consciously the observer, but I'll talk about that after because I have to stage this out, right? Do you know what I mean? I've got to start with baby steps before I get you to consciousness. And this is a baby step, what I'm talking about, by the way, like quantum superposition and quantum flux. This is like little steps, okay? So, apologies if you haven't heard these terms before. Like, I'm not trying to like say anything about you, like who reads quantum physics journals? I do, but like, do you know what I mean? I'm not normal. So anyway, quantum superposition, again, just to recap, is the idea and principle and reality that any particle, electron, whatever it is, it just changes, right? When you're not observing it, it is a quantum sea of infinite possibilities, which is called quantum flux, because it's in a state of flux. It's got no fixed form. And then it collapses and crystallizes into the form and you observe it. So I got something in front of me. I close my eyes. That thing does not exist in that form. Let me grab something. Hold on. My water bottle, right? So, example, I close my eyes. This water bottle is no longer a water bottle in front of me. It is the quantum flux state of superposition where it is an infinite possibility. It's the sea of, molten metal from Terminator 2. Sea of molten metal. Vishnu, right? He's in the cosmic sea of creation and he's sitting on a coiled snake. So imagine I close my eyes. I am in an entire room, the entirety of the universe right now, because I have no observation to it. The entirety of the universe is in a state of superposition and quantum flux. So the entirety of the universe is now a cosmic sea in fluid motion. And I am Vishnu, and this coiled snake is my Kundalini energy. So when I observe it, I open my eyes, reality forms. Wow! Vishnu, my Lord Vishnu, come on! That is a literal truth to the universe. That's another one. I didn't even plan on that one, right? But so the cosmic imagery of Vishnu is also literally science, okay? Yeah. Shout out Lord Vishnu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Cool. So back to what I was saying. So imagine now, okay, you have the metal image in front of you of like the molten Terminator statue, and when you open your eye, it becomes something. So it wasn't that thing that you looked at before you looked at it, and it was actually you looking at it that made it into that thing. So that's Maya, that's an illusion, right? And it gets even deeper than that. So the many worlds interpretation of quantum physics, okay, is that while you are in this state of quantum superposition and quantum flux, and I'm going to change the analogy now because like it's going to be too tricky to explain it with this this molten statue. But imagine like the Pokemon Ditto. Yeah, imagine the Pokemon Ditto. Right, like Ditto, if you don't know what Ditto is a Pokemon that has no fixed form. It's just a sea of possibilities, infinite possibilities. And when it looks at another Pokemon, it changes shape to become that Pokemon. Yeah, it crystallizes, it collapses and crystallizes. So Ditto is now our new analogy. So the many worlds interpretation is that when Ditto basically, right, is this Ditto when you're not looking at it, okay, is this quantum sea of infinite possibilities, and when you look at it, when you observe it, it becomes something, Pikachu, right? But the many worlds interpretation of quantum physics is that what we see as Pikachu is just what we are observing in our universe. Is basically like a multiversal theory, right? So at the time when the Ditto is in quantum superposition state of quantum flux, it is everything. And then when we observe it, right, the reality of the universe splits into a multiverse, and we observe what we see in our universe, Pikachu, but something else in another universe looks at the exact same particle from their perspective, and it's now like Bulbasaur, and another observer looks at this particle, right, from that like split parallel universe, and now it's like Charizard. Do you know what I mean? You get the point I'm trying to make, right? Ditto, in the act of one person, the act of one observation, looking at Ditto, reality then splits into an infinite possibilities, which are reality, where every single iteration of every Pokemon, and I got no idea how many Pokemon there are now, right? I'm old enough, there was like Pokemon Yellow was like, oh my god, Pokemon Yellow. Before that was like, wow, there's Pokemon Yellow now. But however many Pokemon there are, Ditto becomes every single Pokemon at the same time, and it's only one Ditto that becomes every Pokemon at the same time, and it splits into as many universes there are as there are Pokemon. Do you know what I mean, right? But in reality, there's more than Pokemon in terms of the number of possibilities that anything is. So an infinite multiverse is created through the act of one person observing, and we see one thing, but at the same time, that same particle has now split reality into an infinite sea of possibilities, and that one same particle is now a different item, a different object in every different reality in the multiverse. Like, that is mind-blowing. That is Maya, and that is also what Krishna speaks of in the Bhagavad Gita when he's talking to Arjuna, and he calls it parallel worlds. There's a version of me in God form Krishna in every single one of the possible realities, and everything is different around it but me. Basically, right, to summarize Bhagavad Gita, and I probably did that terribly. So that's a lot to take in. That's a lot to take in. Yeah. That really is a lot to take in. I might have a break. I might sit down on this chair. Oh, wait, I might levitate on the chair. Right, so this is my fidget toy, okay? So I close my eyes, and this fidget toy is now an infinite sea of possibilities, meaning that this fidget toy does not exist. But it's not just a fidget toy, it's the entirety of the universe around me. Therefore, Earth does not exist, my driveway does not exist, my car does not exist, London does not exist, Ruislip does not exist, Harrow, Hayes, do you know what I mean? Jamaica, like Mars, nothing exists when I close my eyes. Therefore, there is no such thing as location. There is no such thing as location. That is called quantum non-locality. So the idea that location is not real and is not a property. Location is not a property of reality. Like in the terms of how the universe works, location does not exist. Location is the property of the fidget cube when it is observed and it collapses and crystallizes into form, then location becomes a property of this fidget toy. So I close my eyes, this fidget toy doesn't exist, and there's no location for the fidget toy, right? Because it doesn't exist. I open my eyes, and don't forget, right? This fidget toy is now something else. In every possible multiverse potentiality, it's something else, okay? Many worlds interpretation. But the location of this fidget toy is now, like, in my office, okay? Wherever I'm recording from. But it's in my office, in my hand, right? Between my thumb and my finger. And this is a property of a collapsed, crystallized fidget toy once observed. Right? Location is based on this. Location is based on my observation, right? Location is not based on my geographical position on Earth. There's no such thing as location in reality of reality. That's literally scientifically true. And that's Maya. Like, the fact that location doesn't exist, the fact that the moon doesn't exist when we are not observing it, right? That's mad to think about, but that is Maya. Like, my gosh, how much have I even done? Like I said, this is not to plan or script. I'm just flowing. So what? Physical reality, everything you see is a lie. Humans and matter is not physical. We are electromagnetic, energetic entities. Levitation is real. You don't actually touch anything. Matter is energy, which is vibrating at a dense rate, so it can be perceived by the senses. That's an Albert Einstein quote, not just me summarizing it. God, location is not real. Multiverse is real. Yeah. Quantum flux, quantum super. Just so much to recount. Do you know what I mean? Just so much. But all of these things have a spiritual basis and backing, and have been explained by like sages and things thousands of years ago, right? Literally, like the Bhagavad Gita, if you look at oral tradition, is like over 2,000 years old, and parallel worlds is the many worlds interpretation. So, you know, spirituality did it first. In majority of cases, spirituality did it first. The idea, like Maya, that comes from like the Vedas and things, which is long before quantum physics was ever invented, to talk about reality being real, it's illusion, nothing that you see, feel, or touch is real, but it's like masking reality. Like, all of this stuff is like spirituality, right? And we did it first. You can tell what side I'm on. Yeah, Saintly Scientist is my name, because I feel like science and spirituality is the same. Like, general relativity explains the science of Maya. It explains the science of the illusion. However, quantum physics explains the reality of reality. Now let's talk about Maya. Right, Maya is one of my favorite things to talk about, because if you are a person new to like spirituality and whatever, then Maya is like really, really cool. So Maya is something in Sanatan Dharmic religions, which comprise what is modernly called Hinduism, but that term doesn't make sense, and Hinduism as a quote-unquote religion of Hinduism doesn't make sense as well. It's a made-up term, basically, right? Hindus around the world are living with a made-up term. Sanatan Dharma is the term that modernly is called Hinduism. To just put it short, right? Hinduism relates to an area that one group of people called. Then when the next group of people who dominated and changed the language, they changed that name. And then the English came around and they called it that thing. And basically, like, it referred to a group of people living in an area by a valley in a region. It was not related to like a religious perspective. It was a grouping of an entire geographical place. So to call a religion Hinduism makes no sense, right? It's like saying London. London is the religion. Makes no sense, right? That's basically the same. But Sanatan Dharma, that comprises what is modernly called Hinduism. It comprises also Buddhism and Sikhism, which is correct pronunciation of Sikhism. It is not Sikhism. Yeah, it's not like let's go hide and play Sikh. It's doctor, I'm sick. That is the pronunciation of Sikhism. S-I-K-H, Sikh.